I had actually written some things down that I wanted to say, and I'm not going to do that because I don't think it's really the place for it. I'm going to tell a little story instead. About a little over 4 years ago, I was living in a room in a house with a bunch of people I didn't know because I was estranged to my family because I had pretty much pushed everybody that ever loved me away. The most important thing in my life had become my pursuit of riches and glory and all this crazy stuff. That it made me lose track of what my hopes and dreams were. It made me forget what it is that I value in myself and in my relationships with others. And the crazy part about it was that I don't even know when it happened. And it was so subtle that it happened over time. That when I finally woke up one day, completely alone, that I didn't know what to do next. Then my wife, who was on the verge of being my soon-to-be ex-wife, gave me a phone number. And she gave me the phone number and said, here, call these people. She didn't tell me who it was. She said, call these people. So I did. I called on a Monday morning, and I spoke to somebody, and I heard Problem Gambling Center on the other end of the line. I was like, Problem Gambling Center? What are you talking about? I don't have a gambling problem. I have a money management issue. I really said this. So the person that answered the phone said, yeah, I've heard that before, and why don't you come in and talk? So I took him up on the offer. I came in, and I was waiting for any reason I could to have an excuse to walk right back out the door and leave. And what I found was somebody who was really compassionate and didn't judge me or anything. And that was Aaron. He was the first person I met when I walked in. So he took a little bit of my information. 5 minutes later, I found myself in another room with somebody that I didn't know. And again, I was repeating the same story about how I have a money management issue. And this person who was writing things down just kind of poked their eyes up and said, uh-huh. And that person was the person that just spoke to you. It was Lori. And if at any moment they had given me just one reason to not stay, I would have left. So as it so happened, I filled out my assessment, and I sat down in group 30 minutes later. And that's when the real fun began. I was this angry guy just sitting in the corner wondering, what on earth am I doing here with these people? I don't have a gambling problem. And that day, Dr. Staten was in front of the room, and she told me some stories that I thought this lady was out of her mind. I was like, no. What you're saying couldn't possibly apply to me. None of this makes any sense. So I left. At the end of the session, I left. I stayed for the whole thing. I didn't know if I was going to come back the next day, but being that I had no other prospects, I did come back the next day. Because it was, they were nice people. Let me go hang out with nice people. So on this particular Tuesday was the first time I met Dr. Hunter. And he was this really big guy, and I was slouched shoulders, and he had told me, stand up straight, why are you walking like that? And that's something, it was crazy, because that's something my father used to tell me, and it really got my attention. And that day, he was giving his brain lecture. And he started talking about all this biological stuff that really started resonating with me, because what I had been experiencing in the months and years before that was a change in me that I couldn't understand. I didn't understand why the things that were once important to me weren't. I didn't understand why the people that were close to me didn't want to be there anymore. It happened so subtly that I wasn't even aware of it at the time, but I was the one that was pushing everybody away because I had reprioritized everything to focus around gambling. And the thing that was so debilitating was that I didn't understand why, because I was doing things that I didn't want to do, but I was continuing to do it anyway. But in that day, on that Tuesday, he gave me a little bit of information, a little bit of an education of what was happening with me. And from an intellectual standpoint, that helped, because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not really crazy. Maybe a little bit, but that's not the reason for all of this. So, I went through the program, and it was the most amazing 8 weeks of my life, because I had to extend once because I felt like I needed more. And my last day in the program, I told him, I said, look, in a couple of years, I'm going to be sitting next to you. And I want to do for others what you've done for me. This is where it gets a little smoky in the room for me when I tell this part of the story. If it wasn't for Dr. Hunter, I wouldn't have the life that I have now. He provided me with the teachings and the education that I needed to understand what was happening and to remember what it was that I valued in life. He helped me restore hope in myself, and he really helped to inspire me to do something about it. And if I'm able to do that for just one person, then I, along with the others at the PGC, are helping to carry on his legacy, and honestly, that's the highest honor I could ever hope for. Again, it's an honor to be in front of his family and the people that loved him the most, and you know, this is a great day. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.